Hello everyone, I made this video to show you how I changed the pump on an Electrolux front load wash machine. We're going to start off with safety. The first thing I'm going to do is unplug the wash machine, and then on the back of the unit I'm going to remove the screws along the back here. You may have a few different screws back here depending on if you stack a dryer on top of your washer. I've already removed the stacking kit, so once I get all the screws out I can slide the top back and it slides right off the front. Now I'm going to remove the two screws in the front that hold the control unit on. There's 4 screws on the top. You only need to remove the front 2. Then I can remove my detergent bin, push the little button in the back and it releases it. I can slide that out. There's also going to be some screws behind my detergent bin. I remove those. And then there's one over here on the side that gets removed as well. So now once all those are loose, I can take my control unit and pull it out. It's just clipped in at the top. And then I want to unplug the wiring harness so that I can take my control unit free. Next, I'm going to open the door, and on the top of the rubber seal, if you pull that down, you'll see a little spring. So if you can get underneath the spring and lift that up, that is a clamp that holds the rubber seal around the door area there. And once it gets started, you can just pull. It's just a little wire that's spring-loaded, and then watch the wire and light on top. But then you can pull the seal off and just fold it into the tub, because we don't need to take it all the way off. But once I get it off the door, I can then put it inside the tub. And then I'm going to go underneath. I've got it propped up with a board, and remove the screws along the front. On the bottom should be 2 on the left and 2 on the right side. So once I get all 4 screws out of the bottom of the front, next I'm going to remove the 2 screws over here on the left hand side. And then there's also 2 on the right hand side. And there's 1 more screw that I need to remove right in the center here. And once I get that removed, I'm able to pull loose the front of the washer. Now I don't want to pull it all the way out. I just want to get it loosened up here a little bit, because I have a little plug here I have to disconnect. So I open up my cover, and you can see the wiring harness goes into this cover, and there's just a little connection here. All I have to do is push the lock together and pull my wiring harness off, and that will allow me to remove the front of the washer. So to remove the washer, I'm just going to pull straight out and slightly up, and it'll pull right off with all the screws removed. And I'm going to go down into the bottom here, and you can see there's a plug for the pump. There's 2 little tabs, so I'm going to gently put a screwdriver in there just to release the clips and pull back on the plug. Plug comes right off, and you can see right here I'm going to put a towel down, because this is the lowest point of the washer. No matter how much you run it, it's still going to retain some water. So I'm going to remove the spring clamps, and you can see here why I had the towel down. It's starting to leak, and there's a little bit of water here. So if you're not outside and you want to protect your floor, I recommend putting a towel down or something to catch the water. Got a shallow pan underneath would be good as well. There's a spring clamp here that I'm going to remove, and just slide that off, and there's more water coming out. So now there's 1 screw holding the pump into place. It's at the front. Once I get that out, I just pull up on the front of the pump, and the back has got a hook on it. You can see there's the front, and then the back has a hook on it. Now I have my replacement pump here, and you can see the hook here and the push-on part here. Got the part number listed down there for you. So I'm going to put the hook in and push the front of the pump in to the rubber bushing that's in the wash machine. Once that's locked in place, I got the 1 screw, and I'll put that in the front of the pump, tighten that down, and the pump is now installed. It's nice and tight. So I'm going to start putting it back together with the hose first here, and the spring clamp. I want to make sure that gets seated all the way on the hose so that I don't have any leaks. I have to work it back and forth to get that clamp on there. Then I've got the side hose to go on, and I'll just work that back and forth, slide the hose clamp into place nice and tight, and then I can plug my connector in. You can see it only goes on one way, just slides over the pump and it clicks into place. Make sure I'm connected tight and I'm good to go. Now I've got a little hose here that came off, so you want to make sure you check that. I'll slide that into place and put my clamp in. It just came loose while I was pulling the pump off, so you want to double check that before you put everything back together. Now you can see there's 4 little tabs here. That's where the front of the washer is going to line up. Once I get the front lined up, I can plug in my wiring. I want to make sure the wire's routed correctly so it doesn't rub on anything, cause any issues. And all I do is plug the wiring harness back together. I still have this other wire that goes to my control unit. I want to make sure that's out and not stuck in any place. So now I can take my front of the washer and put it all the way back tight and start putting the screws in. There's the 2 on the right here, and I'll tighten those down. And then I have the 2 on the left, and then there's the 1 in the center. Then I'm going to move down to the bottom of the washer and replace all 4 screws along the bottom. Still have it propped up on a block of wood here. Makes it a little easier to get underneath. So I've got 2 screws towards the right of the washer, and then you can see here 2 on the left that get put in. Next part here, I'm going to open the door, and I'm going to work my seal, my door seal out. Pull it out of the tub and kind of line it up, get it laid out. It takes a little bit of work to get this seal into place, but you want to make sure that you get it wrapped around the edge here, because when you put the wire on, you can see the edge has to hook around the hook here on the washer. There's like a hooked edge, and you got to tuck that in all the way around the door opening. And when I get that all the way around, hooked in all the way, I can get my clamp and bring that over and get this tucked in real good here. I think I've got it almost all the way around now. A little bit on the bottom. This is the last part. Last part's a little tighter, but I do want to make sure that I get this seal in place correctly. If it's not in place correctly, the clamp won't hold the seal in place, and you'll have leaking issues eventually, and it could wear on the tub as it spins. So you want to spend a little extra time on that. So now I've got my ring here, my clamp ring with the spring at the top, and I just start to put that on one side first and work my way around until it gets a little tight, and then I can pull on the springed part to snap the rest of the clamp in place, the ring, clamp ring in place, and it goes all the way to the back behind the front of the seal. Next, I'm going to grab my control unit here and plug in the wiring harness to the control unit, and then I can install my control unit. There's little tabs on the bottom that go into the holes here on the front of the washer, so I set those into place, and then I can start replacing the screws. Start out with the ones around the laundry detergent basket, There's 3 over here. Then on the top, I can close my wiring box back up and install the 2 screws on the top. There's the one on the right here, and then the one on the left to hold the control unit into place. Next thing I'm going to do is get the top cover, and that'll go in slightly short of the front, and it'll slide forward. Now I do have a stacking kit for this one, so I can put the dryer on top. So I'm going to put 1 screw in here and 1 screw in here, and then I will use these brackets, and these are what I use to stack my dryer on top of the washer. So you may or may not have these depending on if you're doing a stacked unit. So you just want to fill in all the screws in the back that you took out. All that's left to do is put my laundry detergent bin back in, and I'm all done changing the pump. So this is how you change the pump in an Electrolux front load wash machine. I'm How To Bob. Thanks for watching.